In this video, I won't just rank cases of skins like everyone else does on YouTube. I will do a personal, in-depth description on each case, explaining where the case might go and what might be the driving catalyst in this case, with the main focus and rank of each case coming from an investment standpoint. It's a long fucking video, boys. I know, but if you're as crazy and beloved in skins and CS2 investing as I am, it's a good video for better understanding. We will cover market analytics, supply, and so much more for one god tier list for us investors. And now there's no more need to comment on my videos. Should I invest in this case or should I invest in that? What do you think about this case? I'll just refer to this video. Grab your popcorn, let's get right into it. This video is brought to you by Skins Monkey. It's a trading site that I honestly can recommend, and they are very transparent. I just throw my M4 Fade in here, choose some nice skins that I like, and boom, press trade. They also have this really nice interface where you easily can switch up your inventory and get some really new cool play skins. And the best part of it all is if you just click right here, Skins Monkey will give you an extra 30% deposit bonus. And on top of that, if you use my code Wexxim, you get an extra 5%. And if we just close this down, press free $5, enter code Wexxim, we get an additional $5 on top of everything. And now that you have activated the first trade bonus, the more you trade, the more you get. I have partnered up with Skins Monkey for this deal for us as investors and use code Wexxim for literally the deal of a lifetime. Honestly, it brings back so much nostalgia just looking at all of these cases here and seeing what I grew up with. And, well, obviously, they're much more expensive now than they were when I was younger. But yeah, let's get right into it. We have the Operation Vanguard case here to start off with. Yes, I did have to double check that. The Vanguard is the Wasteland Rebel as one of the coverts. And, yeah, it's a really nice skin. But the case itself, honestly, it doesn't have too much in it that I like. I know it has the Basilisk as well, that M4 as purple. But more than that, from an investment standpoint, I don't know if I would say that this is a god tier investment. I would probably put it somewhere around C. It's a good case, but nothing extra extraordinary. So yeah, let's get into the next one. Okay, so next up we have the Chroma case. This is a case that I personally like fairly much. It has some good golds, but that's about it. The Chatterbox, is it? I think, if I remember correctly, that's the covert one. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but the golds are really nice, but the price is fairly high as well. From an investment standpoint, I would probably put this one on a C as well. But yeah, overall, all of these cases are such a good investment in general, except obviously the new Genesis terminal. Fuck that shit. But the rest is pretty good, so let's continue on this list, and hopefully we can find some S tiers in here. Okay, 2014 Summer is the green one. Yes, Summer is the green one. What's cool with this one is it's not in the rare drop pool, and that makes it a bit harder to place on this list because pretty much every single one of these cases down here is in the rare drop pool. But there's a few cases that are not in the rare drop pool that are completely unobtainable. You have, for example, the Riptide cases, some of these operation cases, and yeah, all the 2014 summer and winter editions as well. They're not in the rare drop pool, and they are just going down and down in supply for every day. Although they don't really have any skins that people like, the only thing they have is the OG knives as a gold. And to be honest with you, they're fairly expensive, some of them. This one maybe isn't that expensive. I don't know on the top of my head what the price is now. Let me take a look, actually. Okay, so I did take a look. It's currently going for around 15 US dollars. That's honestly not too bad, but still fairly overpriced for a case that doesn't really have skins that people want. I mean, sure, you have the Crimson Webbed Eagle, if I remember correctly. But let's be honest, there's so many of them out there in circulation. So, as an investment standpoint, definitely a good investment, but I don't see it doubling in price or anything like that. It's going to have a steady, slow, nice growth all the way up. So, it's definitely higher than, for example, the Vanguard case, but it's still not one of these A tier or S tier investments. So, it's going to get a B. Okay, coming up next, we have the Chroma 2 case. Obviously, a fairly popular case. I remember back when this came out a few years ago. actually even more than that now. It was very loved, and it still is very loved as a case. The Chroma 2 case has some really nice skins. For example, we have the Hyper Beast, and on top of that, we have all of the OG knives as well, or at least we have the Karambits. So yeah, Chroma 2 case is definitely a good case. Still fairly low priced compared to what's inside of it. And in the long run, I can definitely see the Chroma 2 case going a far deal. And we're going to place it on a B. It's a good investment. Not one of the best ones in the game, but definitely a good investment for sure. Okay, next one we have the Falcon case. Still at a fairly cheap price point in comparison to some of these other cases here. Um, and from that, honestly, it's going to give it a little bit of a bump in this list because price has a big factor when talking about the investment standpoint. If something is $200 and contains really good stuff, that doesn't mean it's a really good investment. But if something is really, really cheap but doesn't contain very good stuff, that could still be a good investment. So for the Falcon case, for example, we have only Falcon knives, if I remember correctly in the case, and honestly, they're all fairly shit and not very beloved by the community. Sorry for my language. Yes, you do have some nice coverts, but it's nothing that people are really going out there really trying to invest in from that standpoint. Uh, I don't want to put it on a D because it is fairly cheap in comparison to most of these cases, and it's definitely not the worst case when it comes to the skins inside of it, so it's gonna get a C. Okay, moving on to the shadow case where we have the butt plugs. Um, this is a good one. I mean, sure, you have the USB kill confirmed, I think. But more than that, do you have anything good? You have like blue gem butt plugs, obviously for the case hardened, but it's a fairly expensive case. Talking about how little is actually in the case, you have really no popular skins in there, and yeah, it's gonna get a C from me. Okay, moving on to the next one where we have the revolver case. A really loved case, and it's only loved for one single reason, and I know everyone can agree with me on this. So the revolver case is only loved because it has all of the OG knives, and it's one of the cheapest ones to get with the OG knives. So currently, I haven't checked the price on this one for a few weeks, but I think it's between $3 and $5, something like that. And I know it was $3.50 about a month and a half ago, but I know the prices have gone up a bit, but somewhere around there for $4 range, I'm pretty sure it is right now, and that's still fairly low. I'll be honest with you. So where do we want to put this case? I mean, obviously the revolver case is a really good case. It has all of the OG knives, and it's still at a fairly cheap price point. You can easily cop the Karambit Blue Gem case hardened, pattern 387 if you wanted to. You could open it in this case. I mean, sure, the odds are one in billions of billions, but it does contain that knife in here for only $3.50, $4, and that's pretty crazy. The revolver case, if it stays at this price point, I would say it's a good investment, and it's going to be our first case on A list. Okay, next one is the wildfire case, and this case I actually like, to be honest with you. It only has Bowie knives as goals, but the Bowie knife in a blue gem actually looks really, really good. So I might be a bit biased here, but it's definitely not a D. And it does have the fuel injector as well. So it's definitely not a C, but that's about it. I'll be honest with you, that's about it. It has nothing more going for it. Bowie knives not very popular, even though they look fairly cool in game. Fuel injector, wow, everyone wants one of those, but that's about it. That's about it. The rest of the skins you open up are just trade ups for the fuel injector. Supply is still fairly high, even though it's an operation case. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a B. It's a good case, really good case. I like it, but it's just not one of these top investments from the case scene. So yeah. Okay, next up is a Chroma 3 case. A case that honestly is not very good in my opinion. I mean, let's look at the skins to start with. You have the P250 Asimov as a pink, I think, and then you have this M4, the gold red one, Chronotics Fire or whatever it's called, as one of the coverts. I know it's a popular play skin, not very much now since the prices have gone up, but I remember back in the days everyone loved that skin. But that's about it. You have those two skins. The hype is not really there for them. Going on over to the knives, I mean, sure, you have the karambits, but there's no case hardened in there. You have the like marble fade, tiger tooth, and stuff like that, but there's no karambits, and that's where the sorry, there's no case hardened, and that where the long term value is when we're talking about these investment scenes, because the difference from a, let's say, a black pearl or whatever to a full out blue gem, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars difference in those knives. And for us as investors, that's what we want to find, right? If we're just talking pure case opening one night and you have a few €100 over in your Steam wallet balance, sure, I wouldn't mind you opening any of these cases. But if we're purely looking from the investment standpoint of it, um, it's not a S or it's not an A case. It's probably a B case. Yes, you have all of the karambits. I love it, but yeah, it's just not one of the best ones. Okay, moving on to the gamma case. I'm pretty sure this is. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like the gamma case. This case is really nice. It's definitely it's kind of like the one we just talked about. It has all of these OG knives, but without the OG finishes, right? So you have the karambits in there, but not a case hardened or anything like that. Yes, you have the M4, which I know a lot of people like, and it's still fairly cheap. You have the Mecha Industries, it's called in this case, and it's a really nice play skin. I love that skin so much, but it's still only like €200. From an investment standpoint, that's actually a good thing for us because if a lot of people want to have that skin, the whole case is going to rise in price and follow along with it. Um, but as of right now, we haven't seen the hype over the past few years, and I doubt that hype will come soon. So, in my opinion, it's going to be a simple C. And then we're moving on to the Gamma 2 case. Honestly, kind of same here. As the both two previous cases, there's not a lot happening. The skins are meh. The knives, I mean, sure, everyone loves a karambit, but you don't really have these case hardens. You don't really have anything that will make you a billionaire, or not a billionaire, but a millionaire, right? Um, and that's what a lot of people want to have in cases when they open a case. They, even though they know it's never gonna happen, that small thought of I could on this case not ever have to go to work again, or I could on this case. I know it's a purely gambling mentality, and I just realized I sound like a gambler myself, but that's what people want. That's exactly what people want. They want to have, even though it's astronomically low chances, they want to have a possibility of opening on your case a one, two, $3 million knife, right? That's not going to happen in these cases. If you get the absolute best, we're just talking tens of thousands and a big quotation mark on just, right? Um, but this case here, the tour has nothing good going for it inside of the case either. It's going to be a C. Moving on to the glove case, skins wise, nothing really I like in there, but obviously we cannot ignore the golds, right? The golds in the glove case are really good. You have some of the most expensive gloves in the entire game from the glove case, and we're really talking hundreds of thousands of dollars if you get the best thing possible in this case. That being said, the glove case last I checked was 15 US dollars. And that's a lot of money for a case. If this case was $5, $6, $7, we would be talking because I can realistically see this case costing 30, 40 US dollars within a few years. And then we're talking 3 times, 4 times your money. But here we're talking doubling within 4 years, and that's what the S&P 500 has an annual return of 7%, normally a bit higher than that. So yes, it's theoretically higher than the stock market, but in my opinion, is it worth the risk costing you $15 per case? It's a good investment. It's a good investment. I really have to think on this one. And it is a good investment. It's just not one of these S tier investments that's going to be an amazing return. I just don't see it. It's fairly expensive. Yes, it will go up for sure. When watching back on this video in 5 years, I can promise you it's not going to cost $15, okay? So it's a good investment. Everything that goes up is a good investment, but I'm going to have to, is it B or A? You're going to hate me in the comments for this one, but I think I'm going to go with a B. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, now we're at the Spectrum case, which is a weird ass case, let's be honest. You have butt plugs as golds, you also have some butterflies as well. Not any of the super OG finishes. And you only have one single skin that people pretty much want, and that's the AK Bloodsport. So from an investment standpoint, it has everything that all of these cases right here in front of it have. Um, it doesn't have anything that makes it more special than the other ones, in my opinion. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it at a C. Okay, moving on to the Hydra case, which is this one right here. And this one is actually really interesting because in here we have the Onitaji, the AVP. I hope I'm, by the way, getting all of this right because I haven't really been looking or updating my memory through all of these cases. But luckily, I've been playing the game for since it came out, so I should have a fairly good memory of what's in all of the cases. But if I do a miss, I'm so sorry for it. But I shouldn't miss too much. This one has the AVP. I'm pretty sure of. One thing I do know for sure though is that this case has the Pandora's box in it, and those gloves can go for some insane amount of money if you hit the right wear. And it also has some fairly expensive purples. If I remember, it's the MK01, the AK, and then we have the what's it called? Oh, I've forgotten, but you have a good pink there as well. And then obviously the AVP for a covert. So the skin in general the skins in general are fairly nice. They're very liked, and the gloves as well fairly liked as well. You have the spearmints and the Pandora's box, which is only found in 2 cases, I think. So that's definitely something that puts it very high up, only because of the Pandora's box. The Pandora's box are so rare, and if you hit the right thing, they can be really good. Yes, it's towards the expensive side, this case. It's one of the most expensive ones we have, but it's gonna keep it that way unless they release a case with Pandora's box gloves again, right? If they release a case tomorrow with all of the OG knives or the Pandora's box, it automatically decreases the value of all the other cases. But in this case, no pun intended, they haven't, right? And I have to go off what we have today. And right now, it's one of the only cases where you can get those gloves. And that's why it's so extremely valuable, this case. And as long as they don't release another case with the Pandora's box, I believe it's a really, really good investment. So it's going to go up here on A with the revolver case. We now have 2 good investments going for us right here. Okay, moving on, we have the Spectrum 2 case. I'm going to keep this one very short. I don't like it. It's a weird ass case. It has some cool knives, right? Investment. I doubt anything in this case will ever be like, oh wow, I want this one. And everyone's gonna start buying up the Spectrum 2 case and the price is just gonna skyrocket. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I've been watching and looking at investments for years upon years, and I'm so into this market, and I, together with everyone else that's working within this market, knows when something might have the possibility of going up unless China comes in and pumps the shit out of something, right? And I just don't see anything in here that stands out. So for me, it's going to be a C. Okay, moving on to the clutch case. This one is actually fairly interesting because it's cheap, right? Here we have a cheap case. But what I haven't talked about too much in this video is something called supply. I know I mentioned it earlier on one of the cases, but supply also has a really big part of it, okay? So if a supply of something is really high, the investment standpoint of it might be really bad, right? Because there's millions of these cases out there. The clutch case doesn't really have any play skin. That's nice. Um, and if it does, there's hundreds of thousands, or if not millions, of those coverts. So me personally, I don't think for the skins that it's a good investment. But what I will say for the golds, it does have some fairly good golds, the clutch case, okay? Nothing wow, but it does have some really nice golds. And it's very, very cheap in comparison to all of the other cases, right? So for this case to double in price is not unrealistic in the long run. Definitely not. And it can even triple or quadruple in price over the long run. So I'm going to actually put it as a fairly good investment. The question is it up there with an A? And yes, it is. It is. It's a good investment in all honesty. It has some good golds and it's fairly cheap. And that's exactly what you want to look for if you're purely talking an investment standpoint. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, moving on to the Horizon case. Sure, people like the Neon Rider. Is the case going to double because of the Neon Rider? No, it's not. Again, just like all of the other cases, we're looking purely at the golds, okay? And from the golds, we have the Talon Knife. I think you also have the Nav. You know what? I'm not going to talk too much about the knives on this one because I don't know all of them. But I do know for sure you have the Talon knife in here. And I do know for sure that you have all of the OG finishes as well. So the case hardened finish, fade finishes, and stuff like that. And that actually bumps it up a fair bit, as we talked about before. Because if you get pretty much any case, but if you get the best pattern blue gem, it's worth so much money, okay? And me putting a clutch case up here on the A list is purely because it has some gloves worth a few $1,000s. In the Horizon case, you have knives worth almost $100,000 with the correct pattern and everything like that. Um, but again, the Horizon case is so much more money than what the clutch case is, and that does affect the ranking. So I'm personally going to put this on a B. It's a really nice investment. I definitely can see it go up over the long term. It's just not something that I would buy if I had to, but I definitely have some in my inventory somewhere. Okay, moving on to the Prisma case. M4 Emperor, very nice skin. I like it. Um, Investment, absolutely not. You have some nice golds, but that's about it. It's nothing wow in the case. The golds, they're nothing wow in there as well, if I remember correctly. And again, I really hope I haven't missed something here, but I know a fair bit, and from what I know, there's no amazing gold in here. And the best skin you can get is the Emperor. So I'm gonna put this on a C. It's a good case. Every single case in here, except a very few of them, which we're coming to soon here, are good investments. And yeah, I can definitely see this flying up. Okay, moving on to the Danger Zone case, which is actually a fairly interesting one. And here you have the AK-47 Asimov, which I know is very beloved in the play scene, or play skins scene, right? And you also have the OG finishes in here, which I love. You had the slaughters and the case hardens as well, which is really nice. So definitely something that could go up in value. It's currently below $2. I'm fairly sure. I did do a big opening of these cases about 2 months ago, and then I bought the cases for $1.50. I doubt they've gone over $2 by now. But everything below $3 honestly is a good price, and I highly doubt they've gone over $3. So it's still at a good price. Some nice golds and possibility of blue gems, and you have a nice play skin that everyone loves in there. Um, or not everyone, but most people do. So yeah, it's definitely a B. Okay, moving on to the Shattered Web case, and this one is good. I'll say it right now, and let me give you some explanations. Um, the Shattered Web case is one of the few cases that is not in the rare drop pool. And what this is you have an active drop pool, right? You have 5 cases that are dropped every single week to a player or to the players that are playing CS2, right? And then you have a rare drop pool in the game as well. There's a 1% chance that you get a case from the rare drop pool. But the Shattered Web case is not in the rare drop pool. The Shattered Web case was only available back in its operation and since then has not been obtainable, right? And the total supply of this case is just going down, 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 down. Yes, the opening numbers are going down as well. They're not being opened as much as they used to. But let's be honest, the market cap is $5.5 billion right now in CS. That's still a very, very small market cap compared to other investment scenes, like or other stuff. Actually, stuff. Let's take the stock market or take cryptocurrency, or honestly, we can even take specific small cryptocurrencies. There's hundreds of meme coins that you have never heard of that have a bigger market cap than Counter-Strike, right? So even though $5 billion is a crazy amount of money, it's still fairly low. I can easily see the market cap being 20, 30 billion within 10 years, right? And can you just imagine then what a case like this could be worth that you can never obtain again? Even the first case ever dropped in Counter-Strike, you can still get to this day. Even though they're very rare, you can still get it. But this case is one of the cases that you cannot obtain. Period. And on top of that, it has some really nice skins. You have the Containment Breach in here, which is a covert that is very loved, and it's going for thousands in the right condition right now. Um, it is a S. It is a S. I have no more to say. It's a really, really good case. I love it, and I honestly think this is a good investment. And yeah, I'll cut back to this video in a few years, and we'll see if I was right. What the fuck is this? This is the P250 X-ray package. I remember this. Okay, we're not even talking about it. Okay, moving on to the CS20 case. Yes, you have the case hardens in here, but none of the OG knives. If I remember correctly, it's the Wildfire, the AVP, which is a really nice AVP. But there's just so many of this case. I remember when it was released, and at the time, I mean, we're slowly starting to get this investment peak in Counter-Strike again. But back when this case was released, there was an even bigger investment bubble that was happening in the markets. And what happened then is that everyone wanted to invest in the new case, which happened to be this case, right? So everyone just started buying thousands of thousands of thousands of these and just hoarding them. The price did go up, but now it's just insane to think about how many of these there are out there. Um, and it's still, weirdly enough, at a fairly high price to be so many of them. So I just don't see this going anywhere in the near term future. Not even within 5 years do I see this doubling. I just don't. Okay, moving on to the Prisma 2 case. Shit Golds has some nice play skins that are not expensive whatsoever. The play skins are really nice. I know the disco gun is very popular. Uh, so is the M4. There's an M4 in there, I'm pretty sure. But let's be honest, there's nothing in there that's screaming investment. Knives, nothing special. It's just you get a few $100s worth of gold if you open it. It's down here. It's definitely down here. And it's time for the fracture case, a case that was actually recently taken out of the active drop pool. And it did fly up in price quite a bit after it. And it's still fairly cheap. I mean, you can get this for under $1. Uh, and it does have the case hardened finish. It does. So it's definitely of deserving of B for sure. Um, if it wasn't that there were so many of them, because you cannot forget this enormous player hype that we had last year and this year. Imagine how many weekly drops there have been given out. We're talking millions of these cases, right? And if it wasn't for that, it would definitely be up here. Um, but some of the supply has to be eaten up before I'm willing to move this up, okay? Right now it's here and it will be up here, but it's not there right now, okay? It's just not. There's so many of them out there. And there's you have the Anubis skin, the Legion of Anubis, I think, and then you have the Desert Eagle print stream in there. I might be completely wrong, but I shouldn't be. And those are some loved skins, especially the print stream skins. They tend to go up over time. But it's just I don't see this crazy investment scene. I just don't. So it's gonna go on a B. Okay, moving on to the Bravo case. This is definitely one of the more expensive ones that we have in the list, costing you about $50, and it's stayed there for the past few months. So I'm pretty sure it's still around 50 US. And this case has a gun that everyone that has ever touched the game is familiar with, and that is the Fire Serpent. The AK-47 Fire Serpent is inside of this case, and you have all of the old OG knives, and it's just a really nice case. What brings it down, though, is the return of the weapon, or sorry, the return of the case. So to give you a perspective of what I mean with this is it's $50. For it to double in price, it has to go up to $100, right? Do I see that happening? Honestly, no. In the long run, absolutely. You're kidding me? This case will be worth more than $100 in the long run. But do I see it going up to $100 within a year or two? I doubt it. And even if it does, I think there's so many other cases on this list that have a higher chance of doubling in price. So don't get me wrong, it's a really nice, beloved case, but is it going to be doubled in price over a short period of time? Absolutely not. It's going to go steady, slowly, and going up. This is more of a safer investment than a good investment. And a safe investment can still be a good investment, but in this video, I'm purely talking about how much money you can make on a case before you sell. And then in my other videos, sometimes I'm fairly clear on when I'm talking about a safe investment, right? This one's going to go down here on C. It's a good case. I like it. It has some really nice play skins, but it's $50. It's $50. That is crazy. Okay, then we have the weapon case 3. And this one is a bit special, actually, because you have all of the OG knives with all of the OG finishes. You have some really nice pinks that are used for fillers, right? So you have the P250 undertow in here, which has a good float cap, and I know will always hold a decent value, right? And what happens then is that a case kind of finds its bottom, right? And this case theoretically can't go much slower than it is right now. And I'm gonna put it on a B. It's about between $10 and $15 to get this case, depending on which site you use and so on. But about 14, $15. I don't know exactly, but it's below 15 for sure. And for $15, you have a chance of all of the OG knives. It's a case that is in the rare drop pool, and it's one of the first cases, so the entire supply is among the lowest out of all cases, right? And that's a recipe to keep a stability and still have a fairly high up chance. Like, let's compare this to the Bravo case that we just talked about. It's $50. It doubles and it goes to $100. Yeah, it's still only doubled. This case here, it goes up to $50. And that means it's 3 times its money. And I can easily see this case costing $50 in a few years. Absolutely. And then we 3 times our money instead of maybe possibly doubling our money. So this one for sure, it deserves a. I'm not even gonna talk about this one too much. It's exactly like I just said about the last one. The weapon case too. It has same skin, well, same amount of skins with the same possibility, and it has all of the OG knives as well. I like it. It definitely has an upside, and I'm gonna keep it on a B. And then finally, obviously, we have the weapon case, the first case ever introduced to Counter Strike. Or no, that yes, well, yes, it's the first case ever introduced to Counter Strike. Unless you're thinking back to 1.6, where they weirdly enough released a case, but then it wasn't a skin. So, but sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. This is the first case with skins where you pay and you can open something. And in here, we have the most legendary AK skin of all. And here we have the case hardened 661 scar pattern, factory new stat track, and it goes for a ridiculous amount of money. It's crazy, okay? But so is the case. It's so expensive. This cost you $50 a few years ago. Now it's already at $100, and I can promise you this case will cross $200. Okay, but is it gonna cross $200 within a few years, which I've kind of been basing this entire tier list of? Probably not. I can see this by 2027 costing $180, $170 for sure. But is it going to double in price going over $200 within a few years? Absolutely. There's a possibility, but the possibility is not very big, in my opinion. Some of these cases will 10x, I can promise you that. I just don't know which one, obviously. If I knew, I would be a billionaire right now. But this case is just such a good case. I love it. Everyone loves it. It's so much nostalgia. All of the skins are used for trade ups towards the AK. And on top of that, even though it's a very small drop of water in the sea, since it costs $100 to open it, it does have all of the OG knives. You have the karambits in here as well. It's just such a beautiful case that I know for a fact everyone that likes opening cases, they're so excited opening these cases. It's a completely different thrill opening this case compared to, I don't know, a Danger Zone case or whatever. Opening this case right here, you get a thrill that does not even begin to explain how nice it is. It's really really nice, and that I know for a fact everyone else feels like as well, and that will never leave the CS2's case investment economy as well. So for me, it's gonna go up there on A, actually, because it has so much possibility. It will go up for sure. It has all of these knives, and on top of that has all of the good skins that you want as well. If you get a blue out of this case, the ROI is incredible. Like, even if you get a blue, you get almost half of your money back of the cost of the case. And that has a lot of potential as well. And then you can use those for trade ups to the purples where you get your money back, right? And yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling about this case now. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I feel like owning Pixel right now. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, moving on to the broken Fang case. This case is also a bit interesting. We did have one case earlier, which was the shattered web case. And if you've been watching this video, or if you're just skipping through it, you know why I put the shattered web case at number 1, and that is because it is no longer in the drop pool, and it's never been actually. So the supply is only going down, and it's the same for the broken Fang case. The supply is only going down day by day by day. It was only available back when they had their operation, and it's not in the rare drop pool. So every single day, the total amount of broken Fang cases is going down. So what can we do with this information? We know that everyone likes the skins inside. For example, you have the notorious M4 print stream in here, which I know a lot of you like, and I know everyone would like to have one, but the problem is they're fairly expensive. How about the price of the case? Well, currently, as of the middle of October, the case is about $10-11, I'm fairly sure of. And that's honestly fairly cheap. That's honestly fairly cheap. It's a case that is no longer obtainable. It has some really nice skins inside of it. It has some okay golds. I mean, you have the broken Fang gloves, right? Which can only be obtainable through here. And uh, they're not very super loved, right? Not a lot of people love them, but they're still not bad. And some of them are really, really expensive with the right wear. And yeah, I'm going to stop going around in circles here about this case, but that's my opinion on this case. And I can easily see this case going up a lot in price if the market cap goes up even more, which it definitely will do over the next coming years. So this is an A-tier investment. The snakebite case. Let's keep this one short. It has some nice play skins. It has some nice gloves. Nothing super amazing, but what we've been talking about for the past 30 minutes, as you know, is also that you have to count in the price. And the price of this case is not astronomically high. It's a good investment. It's nothing I would buy. I know a lot of people have commented on my videos. What do you think about buying snakebite cases? Or what do you think about this gun or this gun? This is my honest. I will just refer to this video for all future references. The snakebite case is a good investment, okay? Don't get me wrong. All cases are good investment in the long run. And I can easily see this case doubling or tripling in price over the next few years, okay? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is not personally a case that I think is going to do the fastest to triple X, okay? I think this is going to be a good case over the long run, and I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy opening these cases, or at least I did, because they were fairly cheap. They have gone up in price over this year, but they're still fairly cheap if we're talking the whole general scheme of it. So it's a good investment. It goes down here on C. It's absolutely not even top 20 of all the cases you can invest in. Moving on to the Riptide case. Wow. Same. As you know, there's only a few cases that are not in the rare drop pool. We've been talking about two of them already. We talked about the shattered web case. We also talked about the broken Fang case. And now we're moving on to the Riptide case. The Riptide case has some really nice skins, even though there's not really any skins in there that people really love to play with. They're all fairly expensive. The reason this case is a good investment in my eyes is purely, and I mean purely, because of being not in the rare drop pool. I don't see anyone buying this case purely because of the skins or purely because of the knives. Even though you have some good knives, you have some good skins, the biggest reason this case goes up is because of the rare drop pool, in my opinion. And yes, I'm not saying the skins are ugly or that nobody likes the skins. Everyone likes the skins, everyone likes the knives, but it's not the main reason that people are buying this case. So for me, it's an A tier. I cannot put it any lower purely because it's not obtainable anymore, and that's crazy to even think about. And that's what I just love so much about it. So moving on. Dreams and nightmares. So where do we even start? The skins in the case are absolute dog shit. Sorry for my language. But yeah, let's be honest. The skins in here are absolute dog shit. If you get a red, you're lucky if you even get your money back on this case. The only reason it costs anything at all, and it's not worth half a dollar, is because you have some really good knives for the price in here. You have some butterflies going for tens of thousands if you hit the right patterns in this case, and it's still in the active drop pool. It's you can literally get what, hundreds of cases of this every single day, or thousands of cases are being dropped into the game every single day of this case. Um, and the supply is just going up and up and up and up. So the only fair ranking for this case would be if we had a time frame, right? So if I said in the next year, which case has the best potential of going up, then I would honestly put this case as an S or an A tier, okay? Because I do think this case will keep going up, and I think it will go up even more once it's taken out of the active drop pool. But then I just don't see it going anywhere after that. In a few years, this case will just be stuck at a few dollars. Let's be honest. Because you have so many other cases where the butterflies are in that do not drop anymore. They have 1/5 of the supply and they only cost $5, $6, $7, right? Whilst the Dreams and Nightmare case is $2 and it's still in the active drop pool. This will fly up to $5, $6, $7 and then nothing more will happen. It's just a good investment on a shorter time frame. I'm gonna put it at a B because it's definitely not a bad investment. If you have a few storage units full of this, do not sell whatsoever. Keep them; they will go up for sure. But if we're talking the long run, we're gonna keep it right here on the B tier. Okay, let's move on to the recoil case. This case is interesting actually because it's a very cheap case, right? It's really really cheap. This case you can easily cop for half a dollar or whatever it is, and you can open thousands of them for much cheaper than you can do with any other case. It's probably the cheapest case in the entire game. Do not quote me on that. But yeah, it's a really good case because of the gloves. You have some really nice gloves in there. You have the blood pressure gloves. Is that what they're called? Going for thousands of dollars in the right wear. And the case is only costing you 40, 50 cent. But let's do not forget the insane amount of number of cases there are out there. And that's also why it's so cheap, right? The market still has I'm not the first one making a list or making or thinking about what case to invest in, right? You can normally look at a price of a case and kind of know, okay, is this a good case or not a good case? But in general, what a lot of people don't think about is what's going to happen in 1 year or 2 years, and that's what we're trying to think about now. And in that case, it's a B tier case, and that's about everything I have to say about the case. Okay, moving on to the Revolution case, is it? Yes, it looks like the Revolution case. Cheap ass case. Hundreds of millions, no, maybe not hundreds of millions, but millions in circulation. But it also has the Vice gloves, Timaku, and some other skins that I cannot remember the name of. It's gonna get a C. I'm gonna keep this. I've been talking about every single case for minutes upon minutes, but this case I'm not even going to talk too much about. It's a nice case. Nothing bad. Do I see the case costing €5 or €4 within the next few years? Absolutely not. Let's move on. Fever case. Really fucking nice knives. Millions in circulations. Was just added to the armory. I highly doubt it will be taken out of the armory anytime soon. They just took out a case from the armory. They're firstly going to add a new case into the armory. After that, they're going to keep it going for another year. And then they're going to take it out of the case. Or out of the armory, sorry. You do have the the AVP print stream in here. But again, the print stream is worth like $20 nowadays. It's nothing. And the case is honestly fairly expensive, like over €1 for a case that has this. I mean, when the print stream first came out, everyone loved it. The problem is everyone opened the Fever case nonstop. Look at the unboxing numbers on this case, and it will blow your mind. It's just crazy how many of these cases are opened every day. So the amount of play skins, we cannot even talk about the play skins. You know what? Let's just forget about the skins in the case because there's so many of them, and let's only focus on the golds, okay? So on the golds, you have some really nice golds. Let's be honest, okay? You have some nice golds in the fever case, but for a dollar, most of the knives are $200, right? In this case, yes, you have some knives in there that goes for like $1,500, but most of the knives in the fever case are $200, okay? And if you want to open a knife, statistically, you have to open almost 400. And using this math on every single case, the fever case is overpriced by about 25%. This case deserves a price at about 0.7, and then once it's taken out and a few years have passed, I will easily say that the fever case can go up to a few dollars. Is it a good investment? No, absolutely not. You know what? I'm actually thinking about putting it down here on D. You know what? I'm gonna do that. Yep, it deserves to be down there. I'm sorry to everyone watching this thinking, oh, I just invested in the fever case or anything like that. But hey, this is my opinion, and I do whatever the F I want on my own investing channel. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, moving on to the kilowatt case. I don't even know what to say about this case, to be honest with you, because it's so cheap. I mean, the kilowatt case will cost you 40 cents, right? And it has a really nice AK play skin. It has the AK inheritance, which is very loved of most people. Although the inheritance hasn't seen any movement whatsoever. It's just stable. It's not going up, it's not going down. And that's normally when the market fluctuation is very low, if not a lot of people are buying or selling the skins. And that's normally a sign of long term growth, but short term failure, to be honest with you, because sooner or later people are gonna want to buy some food and they will sell their skins, or they want to buy a car and they will sell their skins, and those are the type of skins to go firstly. Yes, it does have the case hardened finish on its knives, which I've talked about so many times before. That adds automatically $1 to every single case. Okay, having a case hardened finish in a knife automatically adds $1. Very good rule of thumb to use on any case, okay? And that being said, it's only 40 cents, right? But there's just so many of them still being dropped and coming in everywhere. I don't see this going anywhere crazy anytime soon. But in the long term, absolutely, this could be a good investment. But we're talking so long down the road. By then, I will have done 2 of these tier lists already. So I'm going to put it down here on a C. Moving on to the gallery case, it was just taken out actually, and that does play a big factor. It really, really does. But what we cannot forget as well is the price, right? It's a case where it's not obtainable, but it's also fairly overpriced for the amount of cases there actually are, right? So if you can compare any other case, like let's say the gamma case, there's and that goes for $4 or $5 or $3, whatever. You can take any case. This case has 5 times the amount of cases that cases has in supply. Okay, the supply is just astronomically high. You do not comprehend how high the supply is. Uh, the difference is that's in the rare drop pool, whilst this one is not, right? And that over long term will shoot it up in price. And then in the cases you have the vaporwave, which is very loved play skin, and still, honestly, let's be honest, with a case that's not in the drop pool, having a red covert factory new, and only costing what, $600, fairly affordable in the sense of the whole picture. I'm not saying everyone has $600 to spend on a in-game cosmetic skin, but it's still fairly affordable in the long run. So I'm gonna put this on a B investment, and let's move on. Okay, moving on to one of the first cases ever dropped in the game, which we love. It's the 2013 winter case, if I remember correctly. Costing you about $15, just like the other one. The difference is absolutely nothing between the summer and winter. I was about to say that the skins are better looking, because in here at least you have play skins like the X-ray, but it's and they've gone up quite a bit last few months, but it's still just nobody buys this case for the skins. Everyone buys it purely because there's so little of them and no more are coming into circulation, okay? It has all of the OG knives for 15 bucks, fairly overpriced, but in the long run, it's just going to continue going up. It's kind of like a museum piece. Is it going to double or triple over the next few years? Absolutely not. But it's going to keep going up. I'm going to put it down here on a C. Um, and that's where we're going to keep it. And then we have the last of the collection of those three cases, which is the normal 2013 esport case. I don't think this one has any type of winter or summer. I think it's just called the esports case 2013. In here, it's the only case where you actually have something valuable of skins as well. So in here you have the boom, which I know goes for like $1,500 factory new. And you also have all of the OG knives, and it's just so much nostalgia. And on top of all of that, the circulation numbers of these cases are so low. They've been out in the game for 12 years. No more have ever come into the game. They're keeping opened every single day. A few hundred of them are opened. Not a few hundred, sorry. Every week, a few hundred are opened. And they're very liked by the community. But here again, we're talking about this whole price part of it, right? And they're just so expensive. These cases cost like $70, $80 for absolute jack shit when it comes to the whole circulation of it. I would rather spend $70, $80 on something completely different than spending it here. I just don't see the whole point of this case. If you have money left over, it's a really cool piece to have in your inventory. It's a case that is just going to keep going down in supply every single day. But will it double over the next few years? Maybe. Maybe it will double over the next few years. Will it triple over the next few years? Absolutely not, okay? And some of these cases will, and that's why they're higher up on this list. Okay, moving on to the Winter Offensive case. Really nice skins. You have so much nostalgia in this case as well. You have the Op Red line, which I know a lot of people like. You have the OG knives with half OG finishes. So I'm fairly sure, and quote me if I'm wrong, that you do not have the, what's it called? The case hardened karambits and stuff like that. But I know you have the fade karambit, and you also have some other knives in there. OG knives, half OG finishes, and in general, it's actually a fairly good case, and it's still at a reasonable price point. You can get these for $8, and that's very cheap for the case. Let's be honest, it's very cheap for the amount of skins that you can find in here. So I'm gonna keep it on a B tier. It's a good investment. Go hard, but it's definitely not one of the best cases in the game to invest in. Okay, moving on to the Phoenix case, which is a very beloved case and probably one of the best investments in Counter-Strike for a reason. Simply because of its price. You kidding me? The case will cost you about $4.50 depending on where you buy it. If you buy it on the Steam market, it's currently at €5. But if you buy it on third-party websites, you will easily be able to get them for about €4.50. Inside of this case, you have the USP Guardian as a purple, which is a very beloved play skin, very OG play skin. On top of that, every single purple you have will be used as a trade up towards the minimal wear, or in general, just the red line, which will easily cost you about 300 euros just for a minimal wear red line, which is a pink, not even a red, a pink. And then we have the AVP Asimov as a red. And then on top of that, you have all of the OG knives with all of the OG finishes for $4.50. $4.50. I've just been going through for the past hour every single case here, and I've been talking about how much it adds to the value of having the OG knives, having the case hardens, having some play skins, and also having at least something from each rarity. Like if you want to have one mil spec and so on, that somebody wants. And in this case, you have everything. You have one play skin from each division that everyone loves. On top of that, you have the best knives with the best finishes, and weirdly enough, it's one of the cheaper cases in the entire game. $4.50. Most of these cases here cost $5, $6, $7. And the cases that cost below $4 are either in the active drop pool or were recently taken out of the active drop pool. This is one of the oldest cases. It's crazy to me how this can only cost you $4.50. Absolute bonkers. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I swear on my life, I will not be surprised if the Phoenix case will cost $35 within the next 5 years. Okay? That's a 10x. That's more crazy numbers. This is a S tier. I don't care what anybody says. The Phoenix case is an S tier case. Okay, moving on to the Huntsman case. Beloved case with some really nice skins in there. You have the AK Vulcan, which is just hands down the best skin ever created in Counter-Strike. If you look at a Vulcan and nobody can tell me the Vulcan does not look good in game. Okay, period. Nobody can do that. On top of that, you have all the Huntsman knives with the finishes. You have the Huntsman case hardened, which we talked about earlier in the entire video, that the case hardened finish adds almost $1 to the case value always, because you always have that chance of getting a blue gem, which goes for thousands of dollars, right? But let's factor in as well that the case actually costs $10, and that is fairly expensive. But is it going to double over the next year or two? It could. It could, absolutely. Will it? It's hard to say. It definitely has potential, and I don't think it's unrealistic to think that the Huntsman case will be $20 in 2 years. Absolutely not unrealistic. It goes on a B tier for me. It's just such a fun case to open, but the fun part has nothing to do with investments, unfortunately. And looking at the unboxing numbers, the Huntsman case is being kind of left out of there. And that's something you have to consider when talking about investments. Lastly, we have the Breakout case, which is a really good case, honestly. It has one single sole purpose in the game, and that is to give us butterfly knives. Sure, you have the M4 that a lot of people like as well, but it's not really worth anything. Everyone wants to open breakouts because it contains the butterflies. You're guaranteed a butterfly knife. You're guaranteed, instead of opening, let's say I'm just going to throw out a case like the Fever case, where you're pretty much guaranteed a $200 knife, right? Whilst in the breakout case, you're pretty much guaranteed a few $1,000s, right? So I mean, you're not guaranteed, but in general, if you take the middle figure of what all of the knives are unboxed will cost you, you get a few $1,000s, right? So it's just such a big difference, that I don't see this case quadrupling in price over the next few years. But it will definitely go up just like all of the other cases will over time. Is it a tier or S tier investment? No. Is it a B tier investment? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a B tier investment. It's a good investment. It's a nice case, but it will not skyrocket in price overnight. Absolutely not. This has been my case listing for this video, where I've tiered up all of the cases and put them into my personal opinion of where I think you should put your money if you're thinking about investing into cases. Then I would definitely invest in the Shattered Web cases and the Phoenix cases. But this is my opinion, and this does not mean that this is where you should go and put all your money. Make your own calculated thoughts. Think about, where do I want to put my money? Is this where I want to put my money? And if you are thinking like me, then this is probably how you would put your tier list as well. Comment down below what you would change. I would love to hear it. And comment down below if I forgot something, which I'm 99% sure I did. Somewhere in this video, I forgot about a skin or a case, or I said something wrong about a price. But in general, I think most of it should be correct. I have a fairly good understanding of the game and the skin economy. But I might be wrong. I don't know, and I could not honestly care about what you think or anyone else because I'm about to go eat a pizza and I'm very excited for that. Take care, guys.